Earlier today, I bounced out of a middle pillar exercise. I was just like, I didn't feel like doing it. I got down on my pelvis, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. But I don't know if that messes up your energy or whatever. But I've been kind of agitated like since then. So I don't know. Maybe it's bad. I don't know. I don't care. A lot of magic stuff, but it requires a lot, well, almost like all of it, is for you to imagine things. And that's the same goes for working with your energy and stuff. It's always, it's thought forms. You know, they've been around since practices existed. I think the Rosicrucians call them the egregore. Or that's kind of like that's like a group kind of thought form. But a lot of them talk about imagination. I mean, of course, you have to imagine this, imagine that. But not a lot of them focus too much on building the imagination or working on the imagination. It's just always like, all right, imagine this, and then imagine you're that, or imagine energy here or color there. But none of them really take the time to work on the imagination thing, to get your imagination to be better. And when I do stuff, especially with thought forms, I usually take my time and try to figure out exactly what it is I'm trying to see. But I add stuff to it, like detail, that to try to make the thought form have more substance. The idea being what you create in your mind and the ether, having a effect here on the 3D. So I think to try to build that, the imagination as well as you can, it's going to help you be more effective in everything. But whatever, that's a whole different subject than what I'm about to do. What I'm about to do now, which is finally get to I.O., which is the latest single from Peter Gabriel. Well, it's not a single. It's I guess, well, this is the fucking problem with this whole project. It is a single, and it's supposed to be an album, right? Fans have been waiting 20 years for this thing. And in Peter Gabriel fashion, I don't think he's done, you know? So I think they concocted this release strategy where they're gonna drip one track out every month, and that's what they've been doing for the past 4 months, and on the 4th track. He's been releasing a new song with the full moon, and then another significant moon during the month will have a remix of the same track. So he's releasing this album in drips, basically one song a month. Now, it's an interesting idea, and there's pros and cons to this whole thing, and this is like my, I don't know, 5th video about this, because at first I was going to do both mixes, and then I realized I just don't care that much. But it's still, you know, Genesis is probably my favorite band, so I'm always interested in what Pete's doing, because he's really the only guy still doing stuff. Phil's all done. Tony's all done. I don't even know if we'll get any more classical stuff from him. Mike and the Mechanics are going out on the road, and they're going to be doing Genesis songs now, which is kind of interesting. I'd like to see, I wonder what songs we'll do. And then, of course, you always have Steve Hackett is still out doing his thing. So, and he switches out with new material too. But yeah, so Pete is like the last guy that is really creating new stuff. That's, well, I shouldn't say that. He's working anyway. I mean, even though he hasn't been making original albums, he's been doing stuff. He's been doing music type stuff over the past 20 years. The frustrating thing about this whole I.O. business is when he released Up in 2002, he was saying, oh, was it 2001? It was 2002. He was talking about I.O. like it was done, like, and it would be out soon. Like, he was saying that he'll have it out in the next year or the year after. The idea is to get it out fairly quickly. It was called I.O., whole deal. And time started rolling on. He did tours. He did the orchestra stuff, the New Blood stuff. He did the tribute stuff, the Scratch It Back. Toured with Sting, Big Blue Ball. He did all kinds of music projects, but not I.O. So now we're 20 years on, and he says he's releasing it. It's time for it to come out. I was pretty psyched about it. He's dropping the first single, Panopticon. We talked about it here twice, both mixes. And yeah, then I found out how he's putting it out, which he's not releasing. And I don't even know if he's going to release an album or not. Like, I don't know how this is supposed to work. But the way it's working now is every month he's releasing a new track with going by the moon calendar, and the new track with a you probably know all this. We know all this. We're all here now. We're all on the same page. I'm just going to pretend. So now we have the fourth one of these now, and it's the title track, I guess, if there's going to be an album. I don't know. But because once you have all the singles, like once he's released, well, here's another thing that he said too, and I will get to the song, but he's like, he told someone, and I think it was a Variety interview or something. Was it Variety? I don't know, something like that. He said that he might just keep going. Like, he had 12 tracks, I guess, that he wanted to put, but he wanted to release as part of I.O. I don't know if it's going to be even an album, so let's talk about it as a project, I guess, the I.O. project, where he releases a song a month. He originally had 12 songs, but he said he's having such a good time doing it that he might just keep going. So I don't know. So this song I.O., it's the title track of the project. The music is cool. It's a little kind of lightweight, but it's like a mid-tempo type of I mean, you know what it sounds like. You probably heard it. I like the chorus, but the lyrics, again, for the fourth time, are a big problem for me. It's like, this is not like, this is no Biko. It's no, Not One of Us. It's no, it isn't even a Family Snapshot. This is just, it's Randy Newman-esque, I guess, but it's like a nursery rhyme, you know, lyrically. It's really simple words, and I think I like the melody, the chorus, the music sounds okay. Everyone plays well, you know. Same group that was on the first three, you know, my new Cache, Tony Levin, all the regular accomplices, but it the lyrics really bring it down for me. It sounds like a children's book or something. And all the lyrics for the singles or songs he's put out have all been pretty bad. They reek of, the first few anyway, seem like dads on the internet lyrics. Especially with his idea for a Panopticon. Like, it's like, whoa, that's, you know, we already have that. And the people that you're supposedly, that are on your side, are the ones censoring everybody. So, what are you even talking about? And then the court song, he's complaining about justice being blind. Well, it's supposed to be blind, Pete. That's how that works. I don't know what they do over in the UK, but it's supposed to be kind of impartial. That's the point of it, my man. And then we got the third song, the ballad there, Playing for Time. I always think of the George Michael thing. But I remember when that came out, I'm like, oh my God, this is so hokey. But then I started reading all these comments from people where it reminded them of loved ones, and they liked the song, so I didn't comment on it and want to shit on it. And that's kind of like manipulation. You know, it's like you like the song because it reminds you of someone. And the lyrics there aren't good either. It's almost like a more simple version of what he was trying to say with Up. Ruminations on the passage of time and life and stuff. And that's the same thing with this one. With I.O. too, it's the same thing. Except it's like really simple. Like really simple. Like too simple. You know? It's hard to get into because of that. Like, I don't know, I've never really thought much about like his lyrics because they're always pretty good. So I didn't have to think about it. It was just like, you know, it wasn't always a given. But I know famously he writes the lyrics last minute. But these for the first time ever seem like it. He just feels like a guy that doesn't want to be doing it. He doesn't feel like he's... I think he just promised it to people for so long. And maybe he had some obligations attached to it. And I'm starting to think, well, there's a couple reasons he could be dripping it out like this. One, which I kind of think might be the case, is that it's really not done. And so he's like, all right, well, as we mix them, we'll put them out as we mix the tracks. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening. And the other thing, too, is maybe he felt by dragging it out like this, he could make it feel more substantial or something. I don't know. It's just... 4 tracks in, it just feels kind of lightweight. I think it would have been better. It would have better served him to just put an album up. But I don't think there's an album done. I think he might have the next 2 months finished of tracks, but it's probably not much farther than that. So it's like, it's like showing up every month at the guy's back door. Please, sir, may I have another? I know I waited 20 years for this, but... Well, I haven't been, like, waiting, but... I mean... it would be cool to have had something in the intervening years. I mean, it's a long time. So if you wanted to do this kind of weird project, if he was regularly releasing albums, I would have no problem with it. I would think it's pretty cool because, and I do like the how when a new song comes out, he does like a commentary about it. He talks about it and the Real World Studios footage, and then he has that thing over at Bandcamp where you could sign up to get extra mixes. I think that's all cool. That's very cool. However, he hasn't released an album in 20 years. I don't know. Is this the time to do that? It's just, it seems like it's just, you're just aggravating people at this point. And I've heard other people talk about it too, where they're just like, they're losing interest. Like, they're just like, all right, this is crazy, you know? If he wanted, like I said, if he wanted to do something like that, it would have been great if he was regularly putting stuff out. But for the first thing in 20 years, you're gonna make people like come around once a month, you know? It's just, and then what happens if he gets finished, if he decides he's done and he puts the 12 out, right? What are you supposed to do with that? Like there's going to be 24 tracks total. Which mix is the official one? Like, is it a double album where you have all the light side in the dark, or is it an album at all? I don't know, the whole thing's just a clusterfuck to me, and I'm not liking it. I don't know how much longer I care about thinking about I.O. Now he's going on tour for this thing. He came here with Sting last time he was on tour. But I remember when Duran Duran came here, the tickets were fucking crazy. Because in Hawaii, not a lot of good stuff comes out here. Back in the day when it was cheaper to come here, bands always used to come here because it was like, you know, have a vacation too at the same time. Or if they were doing something in Japan, you know what I mean? If they were touring Japan, they could come by, stop here. But with the way things cost these days, and really for the past like 10 or so years or even more, bands have really slowed down coming here. But so far there's no date for here, but if there is, I would like to try to get to go. I didn't really care about going to the Sting one anyway because it's like, Sting's there. Yeah, like Sting's alright, but and then they jam together, and so I just don't care about that. The fact that it's, I would have, and I remember saying this at the time, I'd go for an album tour, you know. Oh my god, indigestion, Monster coffee indigestion. I'm sure that stuff's real good for me, but yeah, I remember saying, oh, if this was an album tour, I would really be interested in seeing him. But it's not, you know. It was him and Sting. But now it is, but it's still not. Like, he's going to be on tour, and he'll have like 5 songs out by that time. The one next month's coming out, whatever that one is. And none of them have really impressed me. I think if the lyrics were better on any of these tracks, it'd bring things up a notch, because I think that the Court has some interesting sounds too. I just don't know what we're supposed to be doing with this stuff. I don't know how someone is supposed to put it in their collection. Are these physical singles too? I haven't even checked that. Are they releasing these singles on vinyl as they come out? I don't know. I haven't looked at that because I do streaming, you know. But yeah, I just don't. I like the idea if he was putting music out on a regular basis, but he's not. So we have to do this fucking thing. He doesn't know what he wants, so he gives us 2 versions, and like, there's no clarity on this. Like, which one's the official one? I don't think there's going to be. I think there's just going to be, it's not even an album, it's a project. Maybe it'll come out on vinyl after this is all done. And then what? It's a double album? Or will he choose which mix to be the official mix? And if he's doing that, why doesn't he like tell us now? I don't like any of it. I fucking don't like it, I'm not gonna lie. I don't like any of this stuff. It's too much Peter Gabriel. Like, I was interested in hearing something new from him. Wow, it's been 20 years, you know, he's been talking about this album. You know, it'd be good to hear. But an invitation to spend the entire year with him in these songs, I don't know. I'd much rather get it all at once and be like, oh, this is good. Maybe I'll listen to it. Maybe I won't. I see how doing it this way, you get people's ear more, you know? All that shit is fine though. Like, the way he's doing it, I guess wouldn't be a problem if he regularly released music. But to make people wait 2 decades for this shit, tell them it's coming out in 2022, and then say, yeah, well, hold on, it's coming out, but I don't know. And this song, you know, I don't know. I don't really like any of these. I wasn't super crazy about Up anyway, but I think the Up shit is way better than this stuff. Way better. This kind of seems like he had some sounds, and I know it's been like 20 years supposedly, but a lot of it sounds thrown together, and a lot of the stuff on it, like some of the sounds sound a bit dated. Like he's had these cooking for a while, you know, and that's probably the case. I was thinking of one thing that I picked out in one song, and like, this sounds like he came up with this, you know. I forget what it was. I don't know. Who cares? Who cares? I think that's how I feel about this whole project at this point. Who cares? Yeah, so that's it. That's I.O. From Peter Gabriel. There you go. Who cares? I'm probably gonna start moving all the music stuff onto a different channel, like a music channel, and then just keep this one for all my weirdo shit. I think. I don't know. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Why am I discussing this with you? I can't hear you. But I can hear your thoughts. Don't blame the teacher. Blame the school.